to Saturday's Bhagavad Gita class. Thank you all for taking out the time to be over here. So before we start every class, as a customary, we do little invocation prayers, offering respects to the spiritual masters that have passed down this knowledge. So I'll just quickly get it through. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmitilam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swapadantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuta Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Basadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Vishnu 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 Loknath Swami Hari Om Tat Sat. Alright, Hare Krishna. Welcome again to Bhagavad Gita youth class. I was thinking what topic should I talk about. I was having, because last time I see a lot of new faces over here. Mataji's went across ABCDs of devotional service. Then Salwan Prabhu did a very beautiful session of Art of Letting Go. So I was thinking, since the Mataji's already spoke about ABCD of devotion, out of which the A stood for association, I thought I'll talk on a topic which really hits the spot, something which we can all practically use in our lives, and that is how to be a true friend. We all, what is our idea of a friend, first of all? We all in this life, they say human beings are social animals. Everybody is looking for a friend. But for some reason, we've got a misconstrued idea of what a friend is. We think we have really good friends. We think we have really strong, pakka friends. But then destiny plays its role, time plays its role, and we come to find out that when we are actually going through difficult times, hey, they're not there, or actually they are our enemies. So we come to realize that all our conceptions of what a friend is, slowly over time we realize that none of it is coming true. And why is that? Because according to us, what do you think a friend is? In most modern day society, a friend is someone who you can share your heart with, discuss about sports, cars, talk about cricket. I know Nibir Prabhu does that a lot, right? Talk about cricket. I was in boys boarding school, friends used to discuss about girlfriends. It was just that. That's what, or else what most people are doing today is going to the bar and getting intoxicated. Having a drink together, getting intoxicated, having a good time. That is our idea of friendship. But we don't realize that when destiny plays a role, when time goes ahead, these things don't last. It's very difficult to maintain a strong friendship over a long period of time. Why? Because most friendships are built on this idea of bodily conception of life. When we're making friends also, we don't think about others' interest, we think about our own self-interest. Because we are too identified with this body. We think, oh, I am Nibir, how can I get happy? What are my desires? What makes me happy? And then anybody who assists us in achieving those desires, in getting what our selfish interests are, he's a friend. But when they stand in our way, they are an obstacle, then we just move on. We don't have anything to do with them. So that is what we believe is a friend. But a friend is someone a lot of people think, I can share my anxieties with a friend. And over time, we just find out that he's gone and told everybody about your anxieties. Because we don't know what to identify while picking friends. And friends is very important. Prabhupada used to give this example. How many of you on YouTube did you guys see those hot knife challenges? It was very popular, right? They used to put like a knife under fire until it became red hot, and then it was practically fire. Whatever you cut with it, like they would cut a book or something. I don't know why they did that, but they used to cut a book and it used to just catch in flames. Why? Prabhupada used to say, if you take an iron metal and you put it near fire, over time, after being exposed to fire for such a long time, the iron metal becomes red hot and it's practically as good as fire. It will take on the role as fire. Similarly, we are the subject of our environments. The 5 people we hang out with, we become that. We are the sum of the 5 people we hang out with. So if you're constantly in a negative environment, guess what? You ain't going to be very positive and jumping in la la land. It's very that you're going to absorb that energy. So it's very important to know what identifications to make while picking up friends. And friends is very important, because without friends, we can try to stay in seclusion as long as we can, but everybody needs friends after a point of time, because friends open a new dimension for us, give us more exposure about life, which we probably won't know. We have a false identification about ourselves. It only takes a good friend, a real true friend, who will come and tell you that, okay, you need to work on these. He'll correct you where you're wrong and he'll support you when you're right. So what are these points that we should look for while picking a friend? Can anybody tell me? Online also, if you guys could tell me. And anybody, Gauri Prabhu, what do you think should you think about when you're making a friend?
We should be able to think, first of all, does our interests align with theirs? Mm-hmm. And if they don't align and we don't have much in common, then I don't see how we can get along as friends. So
correct.
There should be common interests.
Correct. Common interest. Very good. Mataji, anything about what you should think about when you're making a friend? Like, what are the key identification points while choosing a good friend? Okay, Prabhu. What's your name, Prabhu, by the way? Jeremy, very nice to meet you. Jeremy, what do you think should be...
What are their goals? What are they looking forward to achieve in life? Like, are they into spirituality? Are you into keeping an eye on it?
Correct.
That's an easy way to make friends.
That's a very good point.
Because you see the same person,
Yep.
get to the same spot. We can help each other instantly, we can be friends.
Exactly, bingo. You got it correct. Now the reason why, Jeremy, most modern day friendships don't last long is because everything is just sense gratification. 2 people get along and go to a bar. What they're trying to do is sense gratification, and I just need somebody who can assist me with a little bit sense gratification. I don't want to drink and smoke alone. Hey, why don't you come alone? That's friendship today. But on a spiritual level, friendship is much larger than that. Friendship in the spiritual level is someone where you don't identify that person as a body. It's not like, how can this person assist me in bodily sense gratification? It is, how can we both together be of service? See, a material friendship is about how many friends I have. That's why we see today in social media, followers and all this is such a big thing. Oh, I have 10,000 followers, oh, I have 3,000 followers, I have so many subscribers. Because we are trying to satisfy our ego by telling, I have so many friends. That is material friendship. I have so many friends. But in spiritual friendship, it is, how can I be a friend? How can I be of service to my friend? How can I help somebody? You're not looking to gather a lot of followers. You're looking to serve. You're looking to help out another person. That is very important. And a spiritual person knows that Jiva Sarup Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. He knows that the actual essence of who you are is actually not this body. This body is just a covering. You know, when you were small, you had a small body. As you grow up, you change bodies. Dehinosmi yata dehe komaram yovaram jara tata dehantaras praptir Dhiras tatra namuyate. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 2.13 that the body, the embodied soul, passes from body to body. From Komaram, when he was a child, to Yovanam, when he was a youth, to Jara. Jara means old age. So the soul is just passing. Soul is changing bodies over time. But a real person, a real friend, a friend on the spiritual platform will see, how can I benefit this soul? How can I get this soul to his supreme consciousness, which is consciousness to Krishna, service to God. You know, so that is very important. In spiritual perspective, it is more important to be a friend than to have friends. Can somebody open Okay, before that, I'll just quickly say. So you might think, hey, what's wrong with having friends for sense gratification? You know, I like to go with my buddies to watch a match, watch a movie, drink out. What's wrong with that? Why is it wrong to have indulgent sense gratification? A lot of people might ask that. You can. Nobody's saying that you can't. You have the choice. But sense gratification, what we don't realize, is easily available even to animals. Can somebody open this? You can go on Google or like any browser, and you can search. Same with online, please search up SB 5.5.1. There should be a site Veda base. You can open that. And you got it open, Gauri?
Which one? Veda base?
Yeah, SB, just put in on Google SB 5.5.1 and it will come Veda base. You can just click on that. So once you get it open, let me know. Anybody got it open?
Yeah.
Yep, can you read it out? Just read the translation.
Lord said, "My dear sons, this human body is not meant for sense gratification, like that of the animals which it eats too. Rather, one should engage in divine austerity to purify one's existence. Through such purification, one attains spiritual happiness which is eternal and transcendental."
Very good. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So, sense gratification is easily available. Sense gratification is easily available even to the animals. You see, all the animals, they're doing all these four things: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Humans are just doing it with more, more systematically. We have got Uber Eats for eating, for mating. Like a dog just goes on the street, whatever he sees, he starts procreating. Humans, we try to wear like cool clothes and put photos on Tinder and we just make everything systematic. But in reality, sense gratification is for the animals. Human beings have given this intelligence, and this intelligence, the actual joy that we can develop in our life is through austerities, through tapasya. We can see this practically also. I can give you a material example. For example, Gauri can say, you know what, I just love McDonald's. I'll go to McDonald's, eat whatever I want. He has a blast. He gets jumbo combo of like 2-3 things, whatever he wants. By the time he's eating, he might think, okay, I'm enjoying a lot. But at the end of the day, he'll be completely depressed. Why? Because now you're groggy, you're not feeling well. You've gratified your senses too much, and it's like petrol, it runs out. You can't gratify your senses throughout that. At one point, it will diminish. Material happiness is, it's going to end, it's temporary. If you see now, tomorrow if Gauri says, I'm going to actually put in some austerity, I'm going to go to the gym, which is hard work. It's not easy to go to the gym. It's not easy to follow a particular diet. But when you do it, if you see in the long time, Gauri is much more happy now. Gauri, anybody who goes to the gym, we see so many people who put on their status like how they have benefited from doing some sort of austerity, some sort of discipline in life. So human life is for discipline, for austerity, for tapasya. And only from there we can derive long-term true happiness. Otherwise, it's just sense gratification. Now, a real friend, a true friend, he knows this. A true friend will try to look and be more concerned for the soul of that person. He'll say that this soul is suffering too much, and how can I help the soul to be pleasant and happy even after death? Because after death also, based on your desires, you're changing bodies. We might say that people who are too much into some sort of sense indulgence, they get a body which is much more suitable to enjoy that sense indulgence. So, and this has been happening from birth over birth over birth. God knows how many births we have been just taking body over body just to satisfy our desires. But in this material life, it's dukkhalayam ashashvatam. There's no possibility to actually fully be satisfied. Anything that you can achieve in this material life is temporary. It's going to end. It can give you temporary happiness, yes, of course, but over a long time, it's not. And a true friend, a real friend, will try to help that person. He'll try to give him that love, that ecstasy. We all have love, Love is the most important element in our life. If you love your job, you'll actually wake up enthusiastic and get ready, and with a big smile on your face, you'll go. Why? Because you love it. If you have a loving wife or a loving family at home with kids and everything, you'll be very happy to go back home. You will always work. Love is actually the biggest motivating factor. But unfortunately, we are deriving our love to matter, to materialistic things. If we put our love into the real thing, the essence of all love, which is Krishna or God, once we put our love into Krishna, we naturally we can let that seed of ecstasy and love blossom into a beautiful flower. So a real soul will try to actually serve his friend. A real friend will try to serve his friend. A real friend will go through sacrifices. I can give you some examples. For example, in the Mahabharata, there was Dhritarashtra, and his friend was Vidura. Vidura, throughout the Mahabharata, he constantly tried to help Dhritarashtra. He knew, he loved him so much. He had genuine love for Dhritarashtra. But Dhritarashtra, because he was blind and he wanted to enjoy the kingdom, he was trying to enjoy through his son Duryodhana. And Duryodhana was just manipulating him and controlling the kingdom. Even though Dhritarashtra was physically and technically the king, it was actually Duryodhana who was running everything. And Vidura used to constantly try to, very palatable, very sweetly, in a very nice way, he used to try to tell Dhritarashtra the truth. A real friend will always tell you the truth. A fake friend will always just try to say whatever to just, he'll be a yes man, or just to make you happy momentarily. But a real friend will tell you the truth. He will not lie to you, he'll not manipulate you. So Vidura, throughout the Mahabharata, constantly said, give back the kingdom to Pandavas. The Pandavas are the rightful heir. They are the sons of King Pandu, who was the actual king. You can't neglect them of the kingdom. Also, they are pure devotees of Lord Krishna. So if you, actually try to go against them, and if you think that you can defeat them, you're actually going to lose everything. You're going to suffer a lot. And what did Dhritarashtra do? In spite of knowing all of this, he constantly ignored what his friend Vidura was saying. And Vidura was saying this out of love. He could have just kept silent. But Vidura genuinely felt that love for Dhritarashtra, and he genuinely couldn't see him doing these sort of things. Dhritarashtra was absolutely going in an unethical, unmoral way. He was making one bad decision after the other. He was openly being chaotic. When Draupadi was being stripped naked in a court full of that, he remained silent. Why? Because he was so attached to his son. This bodily relationship, we are so attached to protecting that. So he was so attached to his son. Why? Because Duryodhana, his son, gave him false sense of prestige, false sense of honor. He felt, he always felt let down that I never got the kingdom. But when Duryodhana was ruling over it, he felt like I'm the father of the king, or I'm the king myself. He got that sense gratification. He got false honor and prestige. And because of that, he ignored his true friend who was trying to genuinely help him. And what happened? In spite of Vidura, throughout all of this, he just very peacefully, he tolerated all of this. He sacrificed his, he could have done something. He sacrificed all his energies just to help out his friend. In spite of that, Dhritarashtra insulted him. He blasphemed him. He called him a son of a low-born maidservant. And then he even banished him from the kingdom. Vidura lost everything. He lost his property. He lost his family. He lost his money. He lost his honor and respect. He practically lost everything. He was banished from the kingdom. But Vidura didn't stop. Vidura was still trying to help. He was still trying to drill some sense into Dhritarashtra. And finally, at the end of Mahabharata, when everything Vidura said came true, his entire family, all his sons were wiped out, and Dhritarashtra was left living a pathetic, miserable life, completely in dishonor and disfame. And the fact that he was going to now suffer all the karmic reactions of the sinful activities he performed. He was in complete fear. And Vidura, being the true friend he is, he came all the way to Hastinapur just to save his friend. He told him, he tried to explain him that, see, look at what you've done. He tried to drill him some sense. Look at what you've done. You've killed, all your sons have died because of the decisions you made. And it took Dhritarashtra to lose everything he had, his kingdom, his sons, everything, his honor, to finally listen to his true friend, Vidura. And guess what? Even after committing so many sinful activities, because he was in association with such a pure devotee, at the end he performed austerities which Vidura advised him to do. And he was able to go beyond this cycle of birth and death. He was able to attain salvation in spite of doing all those activities. I'll give you one more example. Prahlad Maharaj. How many guys, you sing Narsinga Aarti, right? So Prahlad Maharaj, he is also a very true friend, an honest friend, because his father was always drunk, always intoxicated with power and false prestige, always, saying bitter things, irreligious, atheistic, hating on God. He was everything bad. Hiranyakashipu literally means one who enjoys a comfortable bed, which is basically someone who's so attached to his material possessions, he's just unable to get out of it. So that was Hiranyakashipu. And Prahlad so sweetly, in such a palatable way, he used to try to talk to Hiranyakashipu that please understand, you are not the controller. It's Krishna who's the controller. It's God who's the controller. And we should surrender onto him. We should chant his holy name. We should, offer our service to God. We should be an instrument in God's plan rather than trying to satisfy a false ego. And Hiranyakashipu hated it. He couldn't stand the fact that God was glorified in front of him. What do you mean? I am Hiranyakashipu. I run the universe. When I raise my eyebrow, even Indra runs away. So what do you mean that this Krishna is so great? He tried to kill his own son. He fell into that level of degradation. He threw his 5-year-old son into a pit of snakes. We had Holi yesterday. You know why Holika we burned in India? You'll see we burned Holika. That is because he had got his sister, Hiranyakashipu actually got his sister to burn, and she had a special sheet that she could cover where Prahlad Maharaj would die, but she could save herself. But yes,
that's a devotion to Vishnu.
Yes, exactly.
He got saved.
Yes.
Defeated the boon that.
Yes. So Holika had a sheet to protect her from fire, but Prahlad Maharaj had a sheet of devotional service, which supersedes defeated it, didn't burn at all. Every time Hiranyakashipu used to try to kill him, he used to somehow survive. And in spite of all of that, finally when he tried to kill his own son with his hands, he tried to attack his own son, Nrsimhadev came and tore him apart, completely ripped him out. And after that, Nrsimhadev was so pleased with Prahlad Maharaj's selfless devotional service that he just went to Prahlad Maharaj and he said, ask me for a boon, I'll give you anything that you want. And guess what Prahlad Maharaj, he could have asked anything. This is the controller of the 3 worlds. He is Vishnu himself. And guess what Prahlad Maharaj asked? He said, just give salvation to my father. He doesn't know, he was in ignorance. But please, kindly, one request I'm doing, just give moksha, give liberation to my father. That's a true friend. That's a true friend. A true friend is selfless. He's looking for the other person's happiness, not for himself. He's looking of how can I serve? How can I give this soul happiness and joy in his life? Rather than thinking, how can I get happiness? How can I get? Today, that's why we see it's all Instagram happiness is all fake. I was in Sydney airport and you know what friendship, I literally could see it and I was thinking, this is modern day friendship. Friendship in today's time is, one girl was there in that, that SYD is written when you're about to depart. So she's standing and there's that Instagram boomerang thing which is very annoying. So she was doing this every 2 minutes and it was just on boomerang. So it's this, and the other friend, oh bestie, I love you, thank you for taking a video. That's what material friendship is. It's all show off. How can I show? They'll stand with 3 people, one over here, one over here. Look at me, I'm so many friends. Those same people are, backstabbing them, talking behind their back. That they don't realize. So that is material friendship. But spiritual friendship is something very deep. Spiritual friendship has sacrifice involved with it. When we try to help out each other and we see, and that's why we need to devote our soul and love to Krishna. Because if you plant a tree by just watering the leaf every day, it won't grow. But if you water the roots, automatically the tree will blossom. Similarly, Krishna, we don't think of this calendar figure that comes into your mind. Krishna is this reservoir of all pleasures. Any material pleasure in this material world is like broken glass. And what Krishna gives you is jewels, shining jewels. That's the difference in pleasure. Because Krishna gives you selfless love, unconditional love. Krishna is your best friend even before you got this body. He's always rooting for you. But because of our ignorance, we stay dormant. Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samanvritaha. I am not present to everybody. My yoga, my illusionary energy in this world is very powerful. But mudo yam na bhi janati. Loko mam ajam avyayam. I am unborn and inexhaustible. Krishna is actually seeing, he knows everything, every thought that we have had, every desire we have had. And he's just giving us sanction, waiting patiently. Prabhupada used to say, Krishna is waiting, when will this rascal come and finally turn his face towards me? But we are so rascal, we'll turn our face to everything but Krishna. So that is the problem. And when you align yourself for a higher spiritual purpose, when you have friendships for a higher spiritual purpose, for betterment of others instead of yourself, then naturally you're a boon to society and naturally you can awaken that love which is in your heart. Now I'll give you guys a more relatable example. Hiranyakashipu and Mahabharata Those are two divine topics for us. Let's get a more real today's time topic. So there was a mafia boss in Chicago. How many of you are interested in the story? Are you guys interested? Should I go on? Should I go on? Is a mafia boss story interesting? Jeremy? Yes? Okay. So there was a mafia boss in Chicago. This was, I think, in 1980s. So in 1980s, alcohol wasn't like legal. So you had to actually smuggle in alcohol, bootlegging of alcohol. It was a very prominent thing, especially in Chicago, because Chicago was like the capital of our mafia and all that. So what this guy used to do, he was a very big mafia boss, and he used to run all these sorts of illicit things. He used to bootleg alcohol in large numbers. He used to do drug smuggling. He used to run prostitution centers. He used to do kidnapping. He used to do insurance. Do you know what insurance is, Prabhu?
Yes.
What is insurance?
You basically insure for like...
No. That is material insurance. But according to the mafia, this is mafia insurance. They'll go to a store and they'll say, hey bro, you want to get insured? They'll be like, yes. Okay, my insurance is you pay me $150,000, and if you pay me, I'll ensure that your store is not bombed. But if you don't pay me, I'll bomb your store. So that's insurance of the mafia. So, and if you by chance weren't able to pay, they would have to burn your store, because now it came to their ego. They said, now other people won't respect me. So they would actually go and talk very sweetly. I'm not actually a bad guy. I don't really want to do this, but you know how it is. It's business. And they used to bomb the store. So this mafia boss used to run all of this, and he made a lot of money, because illicit things or illegal things actually give you a lot of quick money. But what they don't realize is these illegal things that give you quick money also lead to more competition, and that's why you'll see these mafia bosses always trying to kill each other. So that was what he was doing. He was doing all these activities. He was practically running it everywhere in Chicago. And naturally, after doing all of these crimes, he was always in trouble with the law. But he had a brilliant lawyer. This lawyer used to get him out of any trouble that he fell in. He could be caught by smuggling, his bootlegging truck would have got caught, but somehow or the other he used to always get out, because he had an amazing lawyer. He is an amazing lawyer. This lawyer's name was Easy Ed. Easy Ed was very brilliant. He was very well versed in the law. Every time this mafia boss used to get into trouble, he used to somehow twist and turn the legislature and try to escape. Now, Easy Ed, naturally, because of helping these mafia people, he was accumulating tremendous amount of wealth. They actually say that Easy Ed had practically a city block as his estate. He was that rich. And Easy Ed had a son. His son had everything that a person can desire. He had the latest shoes, the best clothes. When he turned 16, he had all the cars. So he had practically everything he desired. Because of his father's connections, he could get into the best of universities very easily. He could travel. In 1980s, you can't just get up and travel. Now it's become very convenient for us. In that days, airplane ticket was really expensive. You can't just go to another country. But his father was so rich that he was able to do anything he felt like, travel anywhere and all that. But Easy Ed, one day he came back home and he realized that my son is not really happy. He looked at his son and he said, he's not happy. He's still very dark. He's not satisfied in life. There's still a big gap in his life. And also, his son was going through the crybaby syndrome. Nibir Prabhu, do you know what the crybaby syndrome is? Do you know what the crybaby syndrome is?
Like cribbing?
Huh?
Cribbing?
Sorry?
Cribbing.
Sort of. Do you know what the crybaby syndrome is? Okay, so
Chucking tantrums.
Yeah, yes. So a kid, when he's small, he'll cry in front of his parents. Give me chocolate, and his parents will say, no, please. Then the kid will start throwing a tantrum in a public place. He'll start hitting his hand on the floor and he'll start doing. And the father will be like, he'll tell the wife, like, what should we do with this guy? He's making a scene. We are getting embarrassed. So mother said, why don't you buy him a chocolate? She said, okay, you'll take a chocolate, please. Now keep quiet. But guess what? Now what you have taught the kid, you have programmed his mind that every time he wants something, he needs to throw a tantrum, he needs to throw a fit. And this might sound funny at first, but as he grows up, that chocolate becomes clothes, it becomes shoes, when it becomes cars, and then later on it becomes people. That's why you'll see in United States there's so many school shootings. Why is that? Because everybody is going through that cry, because it's materially very successful United States. So anybody who wants something, they start throwing a tantrum, and if they don't get it, they don't know how to react. Like if supposing Salon Prabhu, he is very determined. So if he can tolerate a lot of things. If somebody says no to him, he'll say okay, he'll finally just put on with it. But if a person in United States is told that like he doesn't know how to react. That's why you'll see a kid in high school, he'll go to his some girl and say, I love you, I want to get married to you. She'll be like, I'm not interested in you. He doesn't know how to react. What does he do? Gets a gun, pow, he kills. Friend makes fun of me in school, pow, he kills. And he actually, it's a serious crime. So many people, so many young children are dying. These rascals, they go into like primary school and they shoot like 10, 12-year-old kids. It's actually a very serious thing. Why? Crybaby syndrome. It's actually it's like a ticking time bomb. We don't realize how dangerous it is. That's why it's very important to discipline the kids. Otherwise, they grow up and they start throwing tantrums to the whole world. They become rebellious. So, anyways, Easy Ed saw that his kid had everything that a person could desire. Best universities, best clothes, best fancy cars, vacations to anywhere he want. But there was one thing that Easy Ed didn't give his son. And that was a father who could respect, who he could look up to in dignity. Because his father was always involved in, helping out the mafia, and he was never really a father to him. And that troubled Easy Ed a lot. He said, if I cannot be a father to my own son, if I can't make my son happy, in spite of giving him all these material things, he's still not happy, then what am I even doing it for? And he realized that the only way I can truly be a father is by being such a character that my son can actually look up and respect. And you know what Easy Ed did? He went to the court and he testified against all these mafia bosses. Because he was dealing with them. He knew all their internal secrets and all the connections. So he went and testified. Lot of mafia people, they went into jail. And the ones who didn't went to jail, they were in a lot of trouble. Their businesses were seized. They had to launder money. They were in huge trouble. But Easy Ed did a very heavy sacrifice. He felt that inner peace, that inner satisfaction, that finally I've done something that's worth living for. Otherwise I've accumulated so much money, but it's not giving me that true happiness. He finally went with his chest raised high, because now his son could actually look up to his father with respect. One day Easy Ed was walking back. He was in a narrow lane. A car pulled up beside him and the window came down and they shot him. He died right on the street. Easy Ed was willing, he knew that, because that's how the mafia did. If you see any Italian mob movie, that's how they kill people. They in the narrow lane, they'll just gun them down and walk away. Easy Ed knew this. He was dealing with the mafia for like 20 years. He knew what the mafia was capable of. Yet he was able to sacrifice his life for honor and dignity for his son. That is the spirit of sacrifice. Now I'll tell you a different story. This is also about sacrifice. There was this American pilot, American Air Force pilot. And have you seen, I don't know what do they call, have you seen those big ships where there's like a runway and the fighter jets take off? So it was one of those big fleet ships and there were a bunch of jets, and this was during, I think, the World War time. Sorry, not World War time, it was sometime, I don't remember. So they were all taking off, a huge fleet of American fighter jets. They went to bomb the enemy and they were all taken off to fight them. Now this soldier, when he was mid-air, he looked at his tank and he realized that one of his comrades didn't put petrol in his tank and they had to travel a really long distance. So now this person was in confusion. He said, what do I do? I have to fight, but I don't have any petrol in my plane. So he turned back. He was about to land on his ship when he saw a huge number of Japanese fighter planes, Japanese bombers, and Japanese bombers are ruthless. They'll just, if they can't shoot you, they'll just hit their plane just to kill you. They just want to kill as many people as they can. If a huge number of Japanese fighter planes, Japanese fleet of fighter planes, bombers trying to attack them. And on that ship, there were tens of thousands of soldiers, sailors, so many people, all American soldiers and sailors. And this person realized that they're going to go and attack the ship, and these people could have easily destroyed the ship. Now this soldier could have easily just, it's too bad, so sad, and he could have turned and gone the other way. But guess what this pilot did? He went in the middle of those 15 fighter jets. He started attacking them. He started shooting them like crazy. Just here, there. He wasn't scared of his life. He was just fighting like completely fearlessly. And the soldiers, they thought this guy's crazy. He's not scared of us because he's fighting 15 Japanese planes with low petrol. What is wrong with him? And he was not. He was just bumping into them and shooting them. And after like a long hours of fight, he actually managed to shoot down 6 of these planes. And the rest of them, they just ran away in fear. They were like, this guy is crazy. I've never seen a fighter fight so fearlessly. He was just bumping into them and shooting them. I don't care about my life. His plane was in a mess, and he actually managed to scare away all the Japanese fighters. He shot 6 of them. The rest of them ran in fear of their life. All the people on the ship were just looking up in astonishment. They said, whoa, what happened? This soldier got medals of honor. He got Purple Hearts, which in America you're given Purple Hearts when you are injured during fight. His plane was completely in bad shape. He barely survived with his life. And he was given all these medals. This person's name was Butch O'Hare. In fact, if you go to Chicago Airport, the airport in Chicago is called O'Hare Airport. It's named after him. He's considered one of the greatest warriors, greatest soldiers in American history. Butch O'Hare was Easy Eight's son. That same spirit of sacrifice that his father had showed, as time progressed, it stayed with his son as well. His son took on that spirit of sacrifice, and he put his life on the risk. That is how important sacrifice is. It's like growing a seed. We don't see immediate results, but in long time it can grow beautiful. It can grow a fruit and flower bearing tree. That is why it's so important to be a true friend, to be sacrificial. We see the greatest personalities in history. They're all always doing some sort of sacrifice or the other. Nelson Mandela, he went to jail. He went to jail for his people. Who was his inspiration? Martin Luther King, who went to jail. Who was his inspiration? Mahatma Gandhi, who went to jail for his people. But unfortunately, even if you do that much sacrifice, unless you change people's hearts, you can cause temporary, situations to get better. Unless you pierce their hearts, unless you purify their hearts, they're going to go back to the same route. I'll tell you one interesting story. There was a sage who saw a mouse that was running for its life, and the sage had, felt pity for this mouse. So he looked at the mouse, and sage chanted some mantras, gave him a boon, and he turned this mouse into a beautiful looking young girl. And after converting that mouse into a beautiful young girl, he raised that girl as his daughter. Finally, that girl came of age, and it was time to get her married. And she was like absolutely outstanding, like very beautiful. So he was thinking, I need to get her married. Who do I get married to? I need the best of people. So he went to the sun. He said, son, why don't you marry my daughter? She's so beautiful. He said, I'm nothing. Greater than me is the cloud, because even though I shine so much, the clouds are able to block me. So you should go and ask the clouds. So he asked the clouds that, hey clouds, why don't you marry my daughter? The cloud said, even greater than us is the wind, because we are just in the air, but the wind is actually the one who's actually pushing us around. So they went to the wind, and they said, wind, why don't you marry our daughter? And the wind said, bro, you should go to the mountains, because as much as I try to push these mountains, they just don't move. They're very, determined. They stay in their position. So the sage went to the mountain, and he said, mountain, why don't you marry my daughter? The mountain said, I'm nothing. You should go to the mouse. The mouse, even though I'm such a strong mountain, the mouse is able to nibble and break a hole, and he's actually staying over there. And the second he took he took his daughter to that mouse cave, the daughter fell in love with the mouse. She said, I love this. I want to get married to him only. He said, really? There are so many people. You want to get married to this mouse? She said, yeah. So he said, okay. And then finally, he made the daughter into his original self, the mouse. The moral of the story is that no matter how much you try to externally change situations, you will always go back to the real essence of who you are. So a real friend will try to change the essence of who you are. He will try to make that sacrificing spirit. He will try to pierce your heart. He will give you love. And you will only get true love when you're doing something for a higher purpose, which is serving Krishna. A real friend, a Vaishnava, is called Param Dukkha Dukhi. He's unhappy in seeing other people's unhappiness. That's a Vaishnava. And a Vaishnava knows the eternal truth. That's why Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that Matra Sparsastu Kaunteya Sitosna Sukha Dukkada, that these temporary afflictions of happiness and distress are like Sitosna, it's like winter and summer season. Okay, they keep on changing. Agama paino anityas tam stitik sasva bharata. That means that if one who's actually beyond this, he looks beyond happiness and distress. Happiness and distress in our life is like winter and summer season. It keeps on going and coming. That's why if you constantly look to benefit somebody's body or mind, body and mind are flickering. Some days you'll be happy, some days you'll be sad. But when you touch the soul, when you're actually concerned with the other person's soul, then you actually make a change. And you don't make distinctions. Right now we make distinctions in friend. Oh, you know what? I am Australian. I want Australian. I'm black. I want black friends. Oh, I'm Nepali. I want Nepali friends. Oh, I want friends who like the same things as me. I like the friends who like to watch the same movies as me. We keep on making distinctions. Why? Because we are too attached to this body, this temporary body. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Sutta Chaiva Swapake Cha. Sutta Seva Sa Pakecha. What is Sutta? Sutta is dog. Swapake. So a person is a person who, what? Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. An intelligent person will see what? Brahmane, which is a Brahmin, intelligent class of society. Gavi, a cow. Hastini, an elephant. Sutta, a dog. Swapakecha, a dog eater, an outcast. Pandita Samadarshana. He sees them with equal vision. That is a true friend also, who doesn't see these temporary, flickerings of the body and mind, but who sees the soul inside you, who's concerned about the soul inside you, who wants to benefit the soul inside you, and that will give you real happiness. Go ahead.
I feel like a friend is like a true friend is someone who will help you no matter what you do, no matter what goes wrong with your life.
Correct.
And no matter what you do, be concerned no matter what. And have no boundary like where to be concerned. So if you go in, let's say you go and start doing drugs or start hanging out with the wrong people, a true friend will be concerned with that person.
Exactly.
No matter how much they change,
Exactly.
they'll be concerned about their soul, the being,
Correct.
the person, no matter how much on the outside. Because if everyone, they have thoughts and they have external things that they associate with, like their phone or the group of people or their car that they have, no matter what, there's still a being inside that person and still being concerned for that person.
Correct. That's very true. Can we chant one Hare Krishna for Prabhu once? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Very good. You're giving very good answers, Prabhu. That's exactly right. Because right now, a material friend, if he sees that friend is going to the wrong direction, he'll be like, he's not benefiting my material selfish interest. So why even associate with him? He'll move on. But a true friend will be concerned. He'll see this soul is going to the wrong path and he'll try to give that soul real knowledge. I'll give you one interesting story. There's if you go to Mumbai, there's this very big temple called ISKCON Chowpatty. It's a beautiful temple. And over there was this one person who wanted to become a brahmachari. He wanted to take up the spiritual path of life. And naturally, I don't know about Nepalis or I'm not even... Where are you from, Prabhu? You're Australian or...
I'm part Mauritian.
Part Mauritian, okay.
Yeah, and Australian.
Okay.
I'm
so
half Australian, quarter Mauritian.
Correct.
Quarter Serbian.
I don't know about others, but at least in Indian families, the parents are very attached to the children. They want to even live with the children when they grow up. So when this child said, I want to become a Brahma, and he was very well-to-do, he had a top managerial job. And when he decided to become a brahmachari, to renounce everything, his parents actually became sad. So they went to His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, who is actually running everything in ISKCON Chowpatty. So when they went to him, his mother was weeping, crying, my son wants to become a brahmachari, leave us, what is going to happen? His father was very angry. And more angry than the father was the maternal uncle. He was red hot. He was ready to say, because of you, my son is leaving everything. Tell him to go back to his life. He had a good job. Why are you telling him to do all of this? And Radhanath Swami, with a smile on his face, he said, if your son wants to go home, get married, live a grihastha life, I'll happily send him. But your son has chosen to pick up one of the most noble, auspicious paths of life. The paths that many great saints walked, like Shankaracharya, who left his mother. He had an old age mother, but he made that sacrifice. He left his mother for the betterment of society. Madhvacharya, who left his family at 11 years of age. He took sannyas at 12, imagine. So look at the benefit, there's an entire sampradaya under him. Look at the sacrifice and the benefit they done to society at large, because they were seeing in a larger perspective. They were not attached to this material bodily connections. They were looking at the entire world as their family. Look at these sacrifices that these people made. Look at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who had a good wife, a good family, a mother, everything like that. And in spite of all that, he made that sacrifice and he tried to give Krishna Prem, love of God, to everybody, every soul in the world. He didn't spare anybody. He went to all the villages in South India to give them that love. So who are you and who am I to stand in front of God and stop him to take on this path? If he wants to, he must do. Now the uncle wasn't very happy, like he was very angry, but he didn't have any argument, so he just angrily went off and he went back home. Few years later, this brahmachari's uncle, he got cancer. He was completely bedridden and he had like few months to live. Now when this happened, the brahmachari who was in the ashram, when he came to know about this, he went every day and he sat at the bedside of his dying uncle and he read him Bhagavad Gita. He read Srimad Bhagavatam. He gave him chanting beads. He told him chant. Because he was a true friend. He was looking at how can I benefit the soul. And this uncle, at the time of death, he finally came to his senses and he actually was reciprocating. He was actually seeing how much benefit he was getting from all of this. And he was in tears. So when Radhanath Maharaj narrates this, that when he went to actually visit this uncle, who he had last seen when he was very angry. So he went to see this uncle, and this uncle was crying in blissfulness, crying in ecstasy, crying in joy. And he held his nephew's hand, and he said, "You are my only friend. I see you as my guru." Because all the people around me, all these so-called friends that I had, childhood friends, and all my relatives, the best they can do is, "You're going to cry, you're going to die, we feel so bad for you." Just to give him some flower or say, "What will you do without you?" And he said, "What benefit is that doing me? How is that actually helping me? That's not doing anything for me." But my nephew, he's so intelligent, he thought, how can I save him from after death? How can I give this soul liberation? How can I give him love of God? And when he was chanting, the uncle was chanting, reading, that he came to the knowledge that he is actually not this body, his spirit soul. And what he desires and where he puts his life energies is what is going to determine his next life. So after doing all of that, his uncle held his nephew's hand and I said, "I see you as my guru. You're my true friend." That's a true friend. Because like Prabhu, you said that a friend will stop him from drugs and all that. But the person will not go out of his way unless he sees the spirit soul in everybody. If he sees him as just how can this person benefit my self-interest, that natural feeling of going out and helping won't come. You need to actually, to get that feeling, to get that love, you should know the ecstatic love that somebody gets from Krishna. You might be thinking, why is this guy saying so much Krishna, 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 Krishna? Is he a big fanatic of Krishna or something like that? But what we don't realize, like I was never a Hare Krishna. I didn't come to Australia to become a Hare Krishna. I came to, earn money, live a good life, all of that. But
We all did.
Everyone does, everyone does. But we don't realize how sweet Krishna is, how beautiful he is, how he's the reservoir of all pleasures. Once you get Krishna, you don't need anything else. That's a full stop. We think, what is the end goal of the soul? What's the final destination? That has to be Krishna. It's confirmed. Because Krishna is everything in his dealings are so sweet, so beautiful, so ecstatic, so full of love. And he's just wonderful. Like the Acharyas even write, like they've written a beautiful bhajan called Madhurashtakam, where they say, Adharam Madhuram Vadanam Madhuram Nayanam Madhuram Hasitam Madhuram Hridayam Madhuram Gamanam Madhuram Madhuradhipate Akhilam Madhuram. Krishna is so sweet, so beautiful. Everything about Krishna is so beautiful. And when you get that love of Krishna, then naturally you want to give out that love. You can't contain that in yourself. You want to give it out to so many people. That's why even I feel like this is something that's worth doing. There was an experiment done in Cambridge University where they gave people MDMA, which is supposed to release high levels of dopamine in your body. And when they were doing it in a obviously very well monitored way with proper physicians to monitor that, and when they were giving people the highest level, like they actually noted down, okay, in little bit dosage he was reacting like this, he was dancing, he was singing, he was dancing, he was jumping around. So they were actually measuring the levels of ecstasy. And the best part is, at the highest level, because after that it would be fatal for your body, so they managed it. At the highest level, they asked the person was actually going out of his way, he was holding people, "I love you," because obviously he was intoxicated. But what they noted is, at the highest level of happiness, at the highest level of ecstasy, a person is actually trying to give out love to everybody. This person was calling his friends and, I love you so much. This might sound bizarre, but actually it was that when somebody is so blissful, so happy, so joyful, so full of love, they actually want to give it out. and that won't come. MDMA or other drugs, they're just cheap alternatives. They give you temporary happiness, and the fall is much worse. Once you fall down, you're not going to come out very easily. It's very difficult. So many people have lost their lives because of that. But Krishna, it's like never ending. Right now, this material happiness is licking a honeypot from the outside. We look at it, we think that this is going to give us a lot of joy, but we are trying to use it wrongly. We're trying to lick the honeypot from outside. But Krishna is like a never-ending sweet candy. When you take it, it's just going to increase and increase and increase. So that is Krishna. And once you can align to such a higher purpose, then only you can be a true friend. Then you can be a thing. Do we have any more time, or are we almost out of time? Time?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I'd like to conclude. So, keynotes of taking away is that we should first see that everybody is the spirit soul, not make distinctions based on our personal interest. When we see the other person as spirit soul, then we can actually be real concerned for them. We can act, and the second is make us sacrifice. So, first is see everyone. Second is sacrifice. Like Vidura, in spite of all the distresses that he had to go, he sacrificed to help out his friend Dhritarashtra. And third is align. Sorry, I'm very bad at. Third is align with a higher purpose, align with Krishna. If you see somebody with these three qualifications, you should know he's your best friend. He's going to be there no matter what. He's actually looking for your benefit. You know, I must give shout out to Salon Prabhu. He was doing Uber Eats, and when there's the, like, he's trying to convince new people to start in some devotional life, try to get them into devotional life, and he sacrificed those hours of work just to, you know, give them Bhagavad Gita, give them that knowledge, and they're actually doing well. Yesterday after Gaur Purnima, that guy Suman, he came with me in my car, and he was actually telling me how happy he feels after reading this. He was reading Bhagavad Gita, chanting, and he genuinely feels so much change. He genuinely feels like he's made a lot of progress. That is real friendship. When you align with a higher purpose, you make sacrifice, and you see this other person as spirit soul. Unless you don't have these three things, it's all going to be selfish happiness. It's all going to be external. I'll end with a quick story. I don't know we have much time, but a quick story. There was a man, there was a very beautiful young lady, okay? Best hair, you know, long eyelashes, very beautiful, almost like an actress. And there was this man who really wanted to get married to her. So he did a lot to try to woo her, to impress her. And after a lot of struggle, he finally got married to her. But when he got married to her, he realized her mouth was stinking, absolutely pathetically stinking. And he said, what's wrong with you? What, don't you brush or something? She said, you know, actually this is my childhood problem. I went to all the doctors and everything, and my mouth is stinking. I can't help it. There's nothing that can be done. He said, that's impossible. He went to all the doctors. All the doctors said, sorry, it's a childhood problem. We can't really do anything. He went to United States and he said, I'll get you to the best doctors and get it fixed. In spite of that, they said, sorry, this is something. And he had to live. He finally just gave up. He surrendered to the situation. He said, I got married to you already. I know your mouth stinks, but what can you do? So when he used to walk around the marketplace, everybody used to think, wow, man, this guy's got such a beautiful wife. How happy they must be. His friend used to go, beautiful wife, and he used to start crying. He started crying. So that is what this temporary fake friends give you. Fake friends give you external happiness. Instagram, you'll show that you're living a very luxurious, opulent life, but in reality, you're crying. Reality, there's an empty valve in you. Only till the time you have a higher purpose, you have Krishna, that will make you happy. So please try to make efforts to be a true friend. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you guys very much. Hare Krishna. भगवान की जय. जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की. Saturday Bhagavad Gita class की जय. Hare Krishna. Any questions before we conclude the class? Anybody? Online? Any questions?
What about something practical we can do?
Something practical we can do. If we don't have something to give, if we don't have it ourselves, we won't really have anything to give out to. We first need to have that ourselves. So the first and easiest thing we can do is first to align ourselves with a higher purpose before we can give out love of Krishna to others people. So chant, read books, because all these things, even though it might sound very not that big achievements in a short vision, but long term it's actually doing something much greater than you. These mantras, these books, they're actually giving you a lot of knowledge. So if you have that love for Krishna yourself, you'll automatically start giving it to people. It will be very smooth and easy to do. First thing is work on your own spiritual life. Try to connect with that higher purpose. And second thing which you can practically do is make it an experiment. Any place you go, try to see everybody as spirit soul. Don't try to make distinctions. He is Bangladeshi, he is Nepali, he is Australian, he is American, he is this, he is that. Try to see everybody as spirit soul. When you can slowly, even a plant, even an animal, even a mice, even a mosquito, if you see everybody as spirit soul, that they were actually, we are of the same essence, but because of their karmic activities, they've got different bodies as compared to mine. When we see everybody as spirit soul, then we can naturally have compassion towards them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I asked for everyone.
Yeah, everybody. I'm talking for everyone.
When I asked a question, I asked this and everyone.
Yeah, I'm talking about everyone. We are not some great saints. We are also work in progress.
When I ask questions, I ask to contribute to the whole group.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Your questions are really good. Even your understanding is pretty good. You were giving very good answers. Yeah. Yeah, Prabhu.
What if they are not liking it and trying to help them? Telling this and all that.
Vidura,
Trying to ignore it and
yeah. When
motivate them.
when Vidura was trying to motivate Dhritarashtra, he was not at all complying at all. He was in fact going and blaspheming him, making fun of him, kicking him out. But we need to tolerate to some point. In Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Shikshashtakam it's given, Trinadapi sunichena tarurapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. That in order to, one should be more tolerant than a tree and be as humble as a straw of grass, blade of grass, and be more tolerant than a tree. So if you actually see them as spirit souls and you genuinely want to help them, you will have to tolerate a little bit, because obviously all of a sudden they are used to their habits. They can't all of a sudden leave that and get into the path. But slowly, like I can give you a practical example. I don't try to rush in. If you try to rush too much and so that, get into chanting and this, that, you'll just think, pagal ho, he's gone mad. You have to slowly try to trick them. On weekends, get them to the Sunday feast. First, give them something to eat. Slowly get them to Kirtan. They'll start liking sitting in Kirtan. They'll start enjoying. Then slowly give them the philosophy. And lastly, this is what happened with Dhritarashtra also. He had to get a kick on his backside to finally come to the realization that what Vidura was telling me is actually true. So if you don't teach, if they are not able to listen to you, life will eventually teach them. But we should try our best. We should not say that, you don't want to listen to me, we get ego and attitude. We still hold that compassion. We try our best. We try to get them to the realization that you're not this body, and then eventually each person has to make their own. My father used to say, you can take the donkey to the river, but you can't make the donkey drink water. He used to tell that when I was trying to study, he couldn't get me to study. So that's the thing. You can try to do your best, but try to do your best. Genuinely do your best. Try to be tolerant, even if they're not complying at first. Try to do the best you can. Try to slowly, one step at a time, give them baby steps. Try to chant, because just by hearing also Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, just by listening to the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra also they'll benefit. So what I do is, my friends, when they're there, I'll put on some Kirtan or something in the radio and I'll drive. And after like 20-30 minutes, they're like, hey, why is this Hare Krishna thing playing? But then it's actually benefiting them. Now they actually started to come in the temple and all. I've practically seen. So hearing, listening, prasadam is the easiest way. Give them prasadam.
An example. So, when I was a kid, my grandpa, I asked my grandpa if he's got any mantras for me.
Yeah.
Right? So I did not know any mantras. So he, read out some quotes, the first quote, second quotes from Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
So now I realize how important it is, right?
Yes.
So I know the quotes like Dharmachetri, I did not know anything about that.
Yeah.
He just told me to recite it every time I do puja or any time I feel sad or anything. I just, I thought it was a great mantra. But it was a sloka from
Yes.
starting the
That's very good.
So now I came to Sydney now, with the Buddha associations, I got Bhagavad Gita. And then the first sloka I read on Bhagavad Gita, I was so shocked. Because it was going on from a long time, and now I realized, okay, this is it.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. Yeah. Sanskrit is actually very powerful.
About 7 or 8 when my grandpa taught me this.
Wow.
Yes, I did not know what it meant.
Yeah.
It was some kind mind.
Yes,
Like,
yes,
who is
yes.
the God. But in reality, it was a part of Bhagavad Gita, which I would eventually read in the future.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Like I said, it's like a small seed. Over time, it takes some time and nourishment to
it's not like,
fructify.
I read it once and then forgot. Like whatever pujas, I just knew this mantra. I did not know any other mantra.
Yeah.
I just knew this because I had to impress my grandpa. Something, right? So 3 days, 4 days,
Yeah.
I used to like, okay, I'm gonna nail this, and then in the next puja I'm gonna say this in front of my grandpa.
Yeah.
So I could not ever forget that, and till this day, I haven't done a puja or done this anywhere.
Wow.
After 5-6 years also, I remember this because I was doing it.
That's very good. Sanskrit is actually very powerful. Even if you don't understand the meaning, just by reciting the Sanskrit shloka, the knowledge will over time sit in your heart. That's why, like if you see the Bhagavatam class, they get people to read the shloka 3-4 times before we start the class. Increases intelligence. Sanskrit is a very powerful language. In Germany, they've actually opened a research university on learning Sanskrit. Germans are very good at that. Sanskrit is very powerful. You know Daniel Prabhu? I don't think if you know. There's this one Australian guy. You know Daniel Prabhu, right? Daniel Prabhu was. I asked him. He is very good, right? He's chanting like 20 rounds or something. He's reading. He's on the second canto of Bhagavatam. He's very well progressing in spiritual life. And I asked him, and he's Australian. I said, how did you come into this? How do you know all of this? And he said, when I was 5 years old, my father came and gave me the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. He said, chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And I said, how did he come to know? He said, I don't know. He just came and gave it to me. And I didn't understand the meaning, but whenever like I was afraid that there was going to be a car accident or some moment in my life where I was in anxiety, I used to chant this thing and now see what the progress is. So that's Krishna reciprocating with you. Let's conclude the class. Thank you everyone for joining. Hare Krishna.